But let's start with our first team, Democracy Game. Coming from Greece, we have Dimitra, Giannaki, Konstantinos, Kalafatakis, and Dimitrios, Lampiris, and Olga, Dourou. Together, they've put together this team, this try your hand at politics with a virtual debating tool. But let's have a look at a video to find out more.
Hello from Athens, Greece. My name is Dimitra Giannaki. I am a political scientist and I'm pleased to invite you to our Democracy Game. Democracy Game is a debating tool using fact-checking, gamification elements and neuroscientific analysis to include youth and the decision-making process. It aspires to be a social network that will help young people overcome the financial and social obstacles that deter them from playing an active role in political life. It will empower their critical thinking and encourage them to speak up. They will also be more aware of fake news that could limit their human and civil rights, and it will make people's participation a decisive component in creating change. That was the aim of my idea back in 2018 when I was working at the European Parliament in Brussels. And today, our dream team, which consists of Dr. Konstantinos Kalafatakis, our neuroscientist, Olga, Dourou, our sociologist, Dimitrios, our journalist, is constantly involved and invites you to change the game. Agree?
Well, thank you very much for that video. But now we want to hear from you to tell us why we should all be in. The floor is yours.
Hello everyone, so happy to be here. I'm Dimitra Giannaki and I am the project leader of Democracy Game.
Hello from me as well. I'm Dr. Konstantinos Kalafatakis, a neuroscientist and a member of the Democracy Game team.
Democracy Game aspires to be a social network that will host virtual debates, competitions, and polls like a social networking app, aiming at increasing the engagement of citizens with politics. Users will be able to create virtual clubs, enter a virtual town hall, discover EU datasets, take the floor and express their arguments, record their performance, and connect with peers.
Next slide, please.
The huge gap between those who were born after 1996 and the current nature of political activity and decision-making, which is mainly a non-digital process, the rise of fake news, the trend in social media where people often express their political views in an abusive way, hidden behind fake profiles, the crisis in democracy and the coronavirus all played an important role that led to the provided solution.
Currently, debating is usually a monotonous process that speakers communicate their message to the audience without being able to get any direct response or without knowing what thoughts or feelings their message imposes to their audience. The context of the debating process, which favors only minor interactions, makes speakers and listeners being distant from each other at an intellectual and emotional level. The audience rarely feels motivated to apply any insights it gets from the speakers to real life and tackle their everyday societal challenges. Finally, the way social media currently work enable fake accounts penetrating into the intellectual sphere, fill it with unsubstantiated data, preventing the actual evidence from reaching the audience.
On the contrary, through Democracy Game, people can actively participate in the debating process and engage with other participants and speakers to draft policies, promote a public dialogue, and tackle real challenges at local, national, and supranational level. App users become part of the debating process. They have the responsibility of their in-app activity, have access to open datasets that empower their level of knowledge in the field of their interest. They're encouraged to undertake a role than being passive listeners, can flag data if they think they are not valid, with other participants supporting their action if they choose to. Overall, they become part of a community that facilitates knowledge exchange and synergies in order to bring a positive change in real life.
Next slide, please. What you must do is register and then log in to our platform at www.democracy-game.eu and select a country. For the moment, only Greece is available. Then a list of the current events for that country that take place in our platform will appear. By the way, the video can play. For the moment, you can only select the EU Datathon event. If you select it, you can watch us live by clicking on the live stream link. Choose your role either as an active listener and vote for your favorite speaker, or as a curious listener and write down and send your questions in response to what you hear. You can vote and ask your questions even after the live event has finished. Throughout your interaction with the platform, you may consult datasets that aim at facilitating your user experience.
One of the most important ingredients of our app is that you can actually take part in what is happening in the platform. You are invited to take a decision in each screen, and there are the datasets that can empower you taking an active role.
Next slide, please.
So, as you can see in the video, do you choose being a listener and voting for your favorite speaker? You have the option.
Right. Next slide, please.
Or, as we can see here, do you want to be a curious listener and ask questions? In this case, you choose to be curious, write, and submit your question to the speakers.
All right, next question. Great. What we did is to adjust the content of our app to the challenges that Democracy Game needs to tackle in terms of data, but also in terms of its structure and functionalities, and we implemented open data on 4 main areas related to the scope of Democracy Game, such as democracy itself, youth perceptions, education, and challenges for Europe. Next slide, please.
In our educating tool, we provide easily accessible datasets related to the part of the app that the users are currently exploring. For instance, in homepage, users are quickly getting the democracy index for every European country. In the list of debates page, the users can quickly choose among datasets reflecting each debating issue, describing an aspect of the debating problem. In this case, the effect youth have on policies, the data privacy legislation around the world, and the greenhouse gas emissions per capita. When users engage with a debating session, like in this case the session A Europe Fit for the Digital Age, they have quick access to visualization elements to inspire them to actively think about the problem under debate, other sources of information for youth on political and social issues, tools to identify not well substantiated pieces of information or divisive political content utilized by the speakers, and finally, voting criteria.
Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Another very important and useful feature for the users is that, I think it's the previous slide, is that through our app, we give them the opportunity to keep things honest between themselves, since they can flag the data they read when they think they are not valid. Furthermore, they can download and use the visualization elements we provide through our platform, have direct access to the raw data and the references behind them. This process aims at inspiring platform users to pursue an even more active role every time they use it. Furthermore, increasing the level of their awareness on matters related to the EU, building civic awareness, eventually becoming more confident decision makers. Regarding the technical part, we used Python, fully interactive cutting-edge dashboards hosted in Amazon, and utilized EU open source libraries. Last but not least, we have added accessibility features for the people who suffer from visual impairment to make Democracy Game as inclusive as possible. Next slide, please.
So, how can the users of the app benefit also in real life? They become members of a community which helps them receiving accurate information and fight misinformation that could lead to substantial limitation of their rights. Furthermore, we encourage their participation in real-life events that aim to tackle social challenges, supports them in the decision of taking an active role and act responsibly.
Next slide, please. Additionally, we cultivate a culture of evidence-based decision-making by familiarizing our users with the open databases, facilitating their engagement with them, and giving them the opportunity to perform data-driven choices to tackle existing societal challenges. Next slide, please.
What is coming next is maximizing the use of appropriate open source data to empower users on every in-app and hopefully also real-life action they undertake. Building a community of data scientists who will search for open data, clean them, derive the insights, and provide the visualization. Our next steps also include the further development of our app by introducing gamification elements. For instance, adding point system, leaderboards, and badges.
Next, please. Slide. We invite you to register to our platform and vote for your favorite speaker today, either Dimitra or me. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you all.
Thank you both very much for your presentation. Let me ask, I get the sense that people who are already politically engaged are likely to use this app, but how do you attract people who are just not interested at all?
This is very interesting, actually, if I can take the question, because we have already approached people that are not engaged with politics, young students, and what we've heard from them is that this tool, it's very useful. So I think that this is very encouraging regarding the appeal that our app will have to the young people.
And how are you going to keep them engaged over time and keep them coming back?
In the future, we would like to integrate the neuroscientific analysis. Hopefully, we'll have the help of Konstantinos in this field. But actually, what we want to do through our tool is to give a fun way for people to engage in events and draft policies that actually are of their interest. So, first of all, we can give them access to datasets that matter to them, and then they can feel that they're part of other people, of other groups, of a community, where the one can interact with the other, and all together try to tackle real challenges in real life. I mean, this debating tool, first of all, it aims to do the public dialogue attractive to young people, especially to young people.
Well, I have a question from a jury member asking how would events be added and would there be any curation or moderation of events?
Yes, this is something that we have thought about, but we cannot say that in the beginning because we are now building the MVP. This is something difficult to do. So what we have thought is to allow groups of people first to join our platform when it comes to debating. Because a group of people such as university students or students from schools, they have a specific interest in something issues in social issues. So it's more easy to, let's say, have a control of the debating that is taking part in terms of the quality of the discussion and other issues such as the respect between others and things that usually we don't see in social media.
And another jury member question, is flagging the only fact-checking mechanism?
Of course not, but as we said before, depending on the number of the people that we have, on the sources that we have until the finals, and we are very happy to be here today. This is the first steps that we've done, and this is just the beginning of a more concrete and completed app that we want to offer to EU citizens and young people, and especially young people.
Well, finally then, related to that, how are the EU datasets integrated into the app and how could more be added over time?
In order to integrate the EU datasets in the app, of course, we thought that first of all the kind of the data that we would like to use, and we would like to choose data that explain and support our vision, which is to empower democracy and empower citizens as decision makers regarding the future. In the technical part, we cooperated with data scientists from Greece that with them we could see the challenges that we had regarding the data that we needed to integrate in the app. For example, it was difficult for us to see open data regarding civic technology, and this is an important thing, an important topic for us, since we think that countries that have a very advanced civic technology may have an advance regarding the engagement of citizens in what is happening in the public sphere. But on the other hand, it is a little bit, there is a risk regarding the level of the level in which the civic technology is implemented in order to serve people, because in some cases this might threaten democracy and not serve democracy.
Well, thank you very much. We'll leave it there, and good luck for the public vote.